Most people will spend their entire lives trying to figure out who they are. But what if the person you're trying to figure out isn't actually you? Think about it. You were given a name, you were told where you're from, you were taught what to believe, what success looks like, what failure means, and the person that you should become. And then somewhere along the way, you build this idea of yourself. This is who I am. But if I took all that away from you right now, your name, your beliefs, your past, your accomplishments, everything you use to describe yourself, what would be left? I think most of us don't know. You see, you were not born with an identity. A baby doesn't know its name. It doesn't know its nationality or religion, or whether if it's rich or poor. All of that comes later. So this is how it usually goes. First, you're given a name. Then they start teaching you what's right and wrong, what a person like you is supposed to be like, and what's possible for you. And then they teach you to don't question authority. So don't question your parents, don't question teachers, don't question traditions, don't be different. So what we do? We conform. Because nobody wants to be rejected by their family, their community, or their loved ones. And here's the problem with that. They never taught you how to think, they taught you what to think. And then you get emotionally attached to these thoughts and beliefs, and then build an entire identity on things you never really chose. And now you would defend them. Some would even go to war over them. I can see this in my own life. For most of my life, I was the footballer. I don't mean just playing football. I mean football shaped my decisions, my opportunities, and where I ended up. And I thought, this is what I want. At least I thought I did. But after going through some of the hardest periods in my life, I started questioning things that I never questioned before. And one of those things was football. Did I really choose it? I grew up in Trinidad, where football was everywhere. I was good at it, decent, and people encouraged me. And the more I practiced, the more opportunities I came. So naturally, I went towards that. But if I had grown up somewhere else, around different people, around a different culture, would I still want the same life? I don't know. And that question opened the door to something much bigger. If my environment can influence me and shape my life so much, what else of me was influence that I never really chose? My beliefs, my ambitions, the person I want to become, what I thought success was. And then I started looking at all the different people I've been through my life. The footballer, the achiever, the person who wants to show that his struggles meant something, the author, the speaker. Every version felt like me when I was doing it. But I kept changing. And there was nothing wrong with that. Life is meant to experience. We choose things, we pursue things, we become things. But the problem is that many of the things we never really chose. Sometimes we choose because we want to belong, because we want approval, because we don't want to be rejected, because the people around us already shaped us to think what success is, what success looks like. And sometimes we don't realize how much those things are influencing us. Then we get emotionally attached to the person we've created. And we stop saying, this is something I'm experiencing. And we start saying, this is who I am. That's when identity becomes a prison. Because life keeps changing. You start believing you are the identity and not the one experiencing the identity. And that's when I start questioning who I was. And this is where things become uncomfortable. Because it's easy to question other people. It's easy to question society, religion, tradition, your parents, the system. It's much harder to turn that questioning towards yourself, to question your belief, your desires, the things you're proud of, the person you spent years becoming. Because at some point, you're no longer challenging the world around you. You're going against yourself, or at least the person you believe yourself to be. And maybe that's the deepest comfort zone there is, your own identity. We usually think of the comfort zone as being afraid to take risks, afraid to leave your job, move somewhere new, chase something you want. But what if the hardest comfort zone is leaving the person you spent your entire life becoming? Because now you're not just being asked to change your life, you're being asked to question the person who wants that life in the first place. And that's much harder. Because if I'm not the footballer, the author, the speaker, the achiever, all the people I've been throughout my life, then who is the one experiencing all of them? That question changed everything for me. I started paying attention. The identities changed. My beliefs changed. My desires changed. Even the way I saw myself changed. But there was something here experiencing all of it. And then I noticed I could watch my thoughts. I can notice my emotions without immediately reacting to them. I can see a belief arise and question where it came from. I could even watch myself trying to figure out who I was. And that's when the question became much deeper. If I can observe my thoughts, am I my thoughts? If I can observe my emotions, am I my emotions? If I can experience an identity, am I the identity? Or am I the one experiencing all of it? I don't know if that question can be answered with words. And I think this is why I made a mistake. I thought awakening meant finding the answer, becoming more conscious, more aware, seeing things differently. But then I started identifying with that too. Now I was the spiritual person, the conscious person, the person who could look at someone else and say, I could see something that you don't. And that's when I realized the ego doesn't disappear when you become spiritual. It just becomes spiritual. And that made me question the whole idea of finding myself. Because what exactly am I trying to find? Every answer I give becomes another definition. My name, my nationality, my beliefs, my accomplishments, even calling myself spiritual. And every definition has a boundary. The moment I tell you what I am, I'm also telling you what I'm not. So maybe the reason I can never find an answer to the question, who am I, is because I'm trying to define something that cannot be contained by a definition. I am limitless. And I don't mean I can do anything I want and nothing is impossible. I mean I am not limited to any one idea of who I am. I can be a father without believing that is all I am. I can write books without needing to become the author. I can succeed without becoming success. I can fail without becoming a failure. I can have beliefs and still question them. Maybe that's what falling out of the comfort zone really means. Not just doing something that scares you, but being willing to go against yourself, to question the person you've become, to let go of an identity that may no longer serve you, to admit that something you believed for years might be wrong. And then if you choose, become something else, experience something else. But don't forget, the next person you become is not permanent either. Because if I need an identity to tell me who I am, I'll always be afraid of anything that threatens it. And maybe freedom begins when you no longer need to protect a fixed version of yourself. You can participate fully in life. You can have goals, build things, love people, become someone, and still know when it's time to let go. So who am I? I am limitless. Not because I know exactly what I am, because I'm no longer trying to reduce myself to an answer. I don't have all the answers. The more I question life, the less interested I am in pretending that I do. But these are the questions I want to explore on this channel. The mind, identity, spirituality, purpose. What it means to go against yourself, to question the person you've become, and keep evolving. If you've been asking some of these questions too, subscribe. We'll explore them together.